Thank you very much, Arlinda. Yes, in 2000, I am, for those of you who don't know, a barter broker. I help businesses trade among themselves, and I traded my services in the year 2000 for a 9-day trip to Belize. And we had fun there. Belize is a land of many things. There were, for thousands of years, literally, there have been tribal conflicts among the ancient Mayan people. Then it was colonized by Britain, and there have been many disputes between Britain and Spain over whether or not Britain could keep the place. And earthquakes, hurricanes, all kinds of things have plagued the area. Piracy among them. One of the, let's get on this. It was formerly known as British Honduras, after Britain had gained control of it, and then, step back a little bit further, I'm sorry. The Mayan people first started into the area, as far as we know, somewhere between 2500 BC and 1500 BC. And they really started to build their civilization in that area around 200 AD, and it peaked around 900 AD. And then in 1628, an English ship with shipwreck wrecked off its coast, and the sailors were stuck there and colonized it. They faced a lot of piracy, indiscriminate logging, attacks by the free American natives and the neighboring Spanish settlements. It became a colony of the British Honduras in 1840, and a colony crown in 1862. In January 1964, it was granted self-governing rule under the ministerial system. And it changed names from British Honduras to Belize just in 1973. So that is within our lifetime. And its full independence was granted on September 21st, 1981. So we're almost at the 30th anniversary of that. We had a guide throughout our trip there, Larry the Pirate Gibnut. Now, Gibnuts go back way before the Mayans. And actually, they're really called lowland pacas as a generic term. Almost every nation in Central America, as well as from Central Mexico south and partway into South America, have different names for them, but kind of as a general term, they're called lowland paca. But in Belize, they're called Gibnut, and they are considered the royal rodents of Belize. It is a game animal. People hunt them and eat them. We found out that the farmed version of the Gibnut is not very tasty, but apparently the wild Gibnut is. And so it's prized as a royal rodent. But because Larry the Pirate Gibnut was domesticated, farmed, he knew he didn't taste very good and his life wasn't in danger. And his ancestry had a long line of being the historical, oracle storytellers of the area. So he was the one who guided us on our trip. Now, Arlinda nicknamed him the pirate, because every place we tried to go and maybe buy tickets, whatever, he wanted to go buy them for us and do the conversions and whatever. And he didn't want us around when he did it. So we knew he was just nickel and diming us on top of his fee. But who were we to complain? One of the first sites we wanted to see were the ruins, the Mayan ruins. Now, Altanha, which means water on the rocks, was one of the first ones we saw. It has around 500 buildings. The core of the site is 2 plazas with 13 structures. And those were what we spent most of our time with. The rest of the buildings, of course, were people's homes and so forth. It was discovered that beneath one of the structures was the Temple of the Green Tomb, which dated about 550 AD. And this was a rich burial chamber with about 300 objects in it. This is the Temple of the Masonry Altars, also at Altanha. You'll notice the big flat areas. One of the sports of the Mayans, in actuality, was a game very similar to soccer. But you didn't want to lose that. The losers were beheaded. It was serious sport. You fought for your life in that particular game. So that's what a lot of the big flat areas were. And you see stadium seating so people could watch the game. In one of the temples, actually the largest carved jade piece in Belize, and so far in the Americas, was found. It was jade carving of the Mayan sun god. And it weighed 10 pounds, it was about 6 inches tall, and it was actually laying on the right hand of one of the people buried in one of the tombs. Cajaltec was also known as the place of tricks. This is where an elite Mayan family lived. And the area was settled about 1000 BC. You'll notice the archway is a little different than the Columbian arch, curved Columbian arch, but it still served its purpose. They had a different method of doing it. Caracol is one of the largest places in. Did you set that for 7 to 9?
Yes, I did.
Okay. This goes quickly then.
It was 7 minutes, 41 seconds.
Thank you. It was home to about 150,000 people with over 30,000 structures at one point. Caros was called Hills. It had a unique position right there near the Caribbean. The longest continuously inhabited site was Lamani, and the name meant submerged crocodile. Labontan, place of the fallen stones, is in the far south near Punta Gorda. It was there only very briefly from 730 to 890 when an earthquake made it uninhabitable. There are many of these stelae, I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation. S-T-E-L-A-I is the plural form, S-T-E-L-E is the singular. But these are carved stones, like little statues. Tikal is the place of voices, and it's actually in Guatemala, but it is the largest such ruin in the area. So we also went over there. Chunantunik was one of the places that had one of the highest peaks. And if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, you'll know that it's a way of signaling people is to set fires on these high peaks.
Yeah.
And well, I'm all right.
Keep going.
We also took a trip, did some caving. Tremendous caves in Belize. Very beautiful. One of our most exciting ones was where we had to go over a mountain and down into the valley and get in a raft in a river and go under the mountain. There was an underground river that started outside and flowed under the mountain, and we flowed We went for about 4 hours into it and then turned around and came back. But there were actually 3-day trips in there. I have no clue how far it goes. I don't know if it makes it to the sea or not, but that was incredible. Of course, we had a car battery in the canoe or the rowboat to light the torch that lit up so that we could see everything. And there were, some of these walls went up very, very high. The ceilings were very high. We went canoeing also down the Belize River, where we learned that we had to kind of stay away from the edges, the banks, because there were lizards that like to climb up in the trees, and some of them would drop down in your canoe once in a while, and they were great big lizards. So you didn't want to have one of those, even though they're not handy. You just didn't want to have one drop in on you. We went to the Belize Zoo. Of course, we didn't get to see on our tour all of the wildlife, so we had to go to the zoo to see their famous jaguars and panthers and so forth. It's a wonderful trip. I suggest all of you consider going there. It is an English-speaking country because it was founded by those English sailors. It's been English all along. And our guide, Larry the pirate, given that, spoke English, so we really enjoyed our trip. 1 minute while you write.